Absolutely, now listen to me.
Welcome to WrestlerAnt HD. I'm your host, Angelo Demetrius, and this is WrestlerAnt. You have come to the right place for information and entertainment. And if ever there's a doubt in your mind that that's what we do here on WrestlerAnt HD, we are going to reaffirm your belief in this show. Now, I want to get right down to the meat of WWE's bone. Were you appalled like me? Did you see the atrocity that they called the Survivor Series on pay-per-view? Hopefully, if you were smart, you went somewhere else and watched it for free. Me, well, I can't speak for too much. I wasn't that smart. I actually paid for this pay-per-view. Now, this is WrestlerAnt. This is not one big giant promotional for WWE, for those of you that think it is. Let me tell you something. This is where we tell you what they don't want you to hear. Now, let's talk about this. Some good news, at least, that came out of this whole pay-per-view. CM Punk is finally the WWE champion with no strings attached. No Kevin Nash coming out to powerbomb him and no conspiracy surrounding him. He got it just the way he should have got it and is keeping it like he should have kept it the first time. Him and Alberto Del Rio would put on a classic epic match at the Survivor Series. Alberto Del Rio, great professional wrestler that he is, helping CM Punk to get in that ring and put two styles together that really, really put on a great show at the Survivor Series. I'm glad, for one, that CM Punk is finally the WWE champion, because I know that he's going to keep his word and that he's going to take this company places that it's never been before. CM Punk, I'm right behind you, and I know that you're going to take the company where it should go. Up, up, all the way up. And by the way, CM Punk, I am still waiting on my ice cream bar. Alright, now, you heard me say just moments ago that this pay-per-view was an absolute atrocity. Because it was. How many of you know that at this pay-per-view, the Survivor Series, it was supposed to be Triple H versus Kevin Nash? What happened here? Now, before I go there, let me say this. Sure, we got The Rock and John Cena tagging together for the first time. Never before, never again, all of that, blah, blah, blah. Going against The Miz and R-Truth. And here's how that match went down. At first, the most electrifying man in all of entertainment is inside the ring. Him and The Miz are going one-on-one. The Miz going one-on-one with the Great One. They're exchanging holds, back and forth, rights, lefts, punches. The Rock, being as electrifying as he can be. The match is just exciting. And then he tagged in John Cena. Well, okay, I'll be fair. Now, to John Cena's credit, his part of the match was just as exciting. In fact, it went a little something like this. John Cena in the ring. Here we go. Oh, anyway, he tagged The Rock back in. And then the next thing you know, the electricity is back in the ring. Boom, bam, boom, rock bottom. 1, 2, 3. knee, and a boot, to boot, to boot. Rock bottom to John Cena to send the message to him that, hey, I haven't forgotten that we're rivals for WrestleMania. All of that aside, we didn't deserve to have a pay-per-view this bad. It takes more than a couple of matches to make a good pay-per-view. And if you're going to change the card, at least tell us. Give us something, WWE. You didn't do that. Instead, we had to try to figure out why Kevin Nash never showed up to wrestle Triple H, and Triple H never showed up. Instead, we hear that Kevin Nash is in the back of the arena walking around talking to fans. He was supposed to be wrestling Triple H that night. WWE, are you ever going to give us a reason why it didn't happen? When it comes to this pay-per-view, fans, well,
we got hosed, Tommy. We got hosed.
And that's exactly what happened. Let me tell you, it's a sad day when you watch a great pay-per-view, or supposed to be a great pay-per-view like the Survivor Series, and it just goes all wrong. Listen, the next night on Monday Night Raw, Kevin Nash then shows up to make bad excuses. No explanation why him and Triple H weren't there at the pay-per-view. Nah, WWE's just going to put him out there. I mean, after all, how much hair dye number 44 can Nash put in his head to cover up all the gray spots? And what about that pimple he can't get rid of? Look, WWE, we want explanations when we ought to have them. I mean, it's not like you're putting somebody out there with makeup in his hair like you did before when Kevin Nash left. And guess what? We weren't fooled. Who was that guy with the hair and the dye and chubby? Well, that's the guy that's Kane now, right? Right. So guess what? We are never going to be fooled by hair dye number 44, Kevin Nash. And we are never going to forget that there was supposed to be a match between you and Triple H at the Survivor Series. I love doing this show just so I can point little things like that out. So I can tell the fans things that you, WWE, don't want them to hear. That's my job, to entertain and inform the professional wrestling fan. This is WrestlerAnt HD. You stay glued to the tube because WrestlerAnt ain't going nowhere. Hi, I'm Angelo Demetrius, host of WrestlerAnt HD. You know, I know that when some of you watch this show, you may think that it's nothing more than an advertisement for World Wrestling Entertainment. But in fact and indeed, it's not. What it is a show aimed or geared toward the professional wrestling fan, you. And I want you to know that I'm here working for you each and every week as I watch professional wrestling, enjoy it like you do, but knick-knack and pick the things out of it that aren't quite right or maybe just didn't get noticed like they should have. And I want you to know that as someone that works for you, I would never, not ever one time, take anything that WWE has or has to offer and promote or do a shameless plug on my show. For instance, I would never take the newly released copy and edition of WWE 12 and promote it on my show. I would never take a WWE product and talk about it on this show or push it on the internet so people go out to their local gaming store, even their local store around them that sells video games and buy WWE 12. I would never say that THQ actually hit it on the money with WWE 12 this time and got it right. I would never do any of those things, and you can be confident about that, because that's not what we do here. What we do here is inform and give wrestling truth, not tell people that video games are awesome, or that if you haven't played WWE 12, you're a loser. We simply tell people the truth about professional wrestling and entertain them, all the while doing it. I'm Angelo Demetrius. Continue enjoying WrestleRant HD. Welcome back to WrestleRant HD, America's #1 professional wrestling rant show, and the place where you come for information and entertainment. Now, let's talk about Cody Rhodes. Formerly Dashing Cody Rhodes, formerly Cody Rhodes with the mask on, and now just weird Cody Rhodes. Listen, Cody, I'm not going to tell you how to reach your character's edge or form your character. I'm sure you've already got Vince doing that. Cody, I will say this, though. You are a Fruit Loop, or as Booker would call it, a Fruit Booty. Listen, if you're going to start a rivalry with Booker T, fine. But have you lost your mind? I mean, here lately, Cody Rhodes has become everything that they've accused the Ultimate Warrior of being. In the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior DVD, when WWE tried to call the Ultimate Warrior insane, nuts, said they didn't understand his promos. I understand a man's promos who comes from parts unknown that acts crazy. Understandable. Cody, where are you going with this? That's all I'm saying, man. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Now, Monday Night Raw, CM Punk and Dolph Ziggler wrestled a phenomenal match. When I tell you that these two got in that ring and taught anybody in the back of that locker room what it was to exchange hold for hold, move for move, those two did it. I honestly have not seen a match like that, and I'm throwing a compliment out to Dolph and to Punk, since Mr. Perfect and Bret Hart. That was an excellent match, and a lot of you WWE superstars in the locker room could learn from it. There are certain weight classes that ought to know how to wrestle like this. Now, when it comes to a weight class like Mark Henry or the Big Show, it's not needed. Two powerhouses like that need to wrestle like two powerhouses. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you've seen a mountain do a drop kick or a head scissors? Mountains move things. They destroy them. Smaller things like, I don't know, foxes or squirrels move around a lot. They jump, they fly, they leap. All I'm saying is this. These two were in their element in that ring, and they really showed it. I was entertained very much by the CM Punk Dolph Ziggler match. Now, do I buy the Zack Ryder build? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I'm feeling Ryder. I don't know if I'm riding the Ryder wave. Okay? All I know is this. I think it's a pretty good build for Zack Ryder's face character. But look, even if he becomes the United States champion, who remembers that the United States title even exists? Cody Rhodes is the Intercontinental Champion. Cody Rhodes is better than Dolph Ziggler any day. Zach, listen to this WrestleRant HD host. If you're going to make that United States title memorable, then you're going to have to make people remember you. Alright, enough free advice. Let's talk about what happened to R-Truth. And let's talk about some things that you don't know that I do. It's usually the way it works anyway. Now, R-Truth poised to set up John Cena to beat him down. Well, Miz and R-Truth couldn't quite get it together on Monday Night Raw. So what ends up happening? Just when R-Truth thinks that him and the Miz are going to work things out, Miz turns on R-Truth. Oh, I never seen that coming. The Miz turns on R-Truth, jumps R-Truth, and now who does Truth have to complain with him about those little jimmies? No one. Because now Mike the Miz Mizanin is on his own again. The so-called must-see WWE superstar now performs for himself. With an ego that big, I really didn't see him and Truth stand together for long. For whatever the reasons were, even though I know what they really were. In fact, I'm just going to cut to the chase and get to it right now. Listen, many of you may not know this, but Evan Bourne was suspended for violating WWE's wellness policy. Evan Bourne was not alone in doing so. Him and R-Truth violated the wellness policy together. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I know what they did. I don't know if it was wacky tobacco. I don't know if it was steroids. I don't know if they popped pills. I don't know what these guys' choice of drug is. All I know is this. They violated the WWE's implemented wellness policy. And thus the reason R-Truth will come up missing for at least 30 days or so. Give it time, they'll be back. You know, I really saw the Kofi Kingston, Evan Bourne thing turning around like the R-Truth Miz thing did. I'm not giving up on that, by the way. Kofi's going to make a great WWE champion someday. Now, Mark Henry limped down to the ring on Friday Night SmackDown with a crutch and a cast and the World Heavyweight Championship around his waist to come out and cut a promo for him and the Big Show. Now, I have a friend of mine that lives in Tennessee, whose name I won't mention, who says that he doesn't like the way that Mark Henry's promos are. I, for one, like Mark Henry's promos. He's big, he's mean, he's a monster. He's not supposed to go out there and be a ballet dancer and say pretty, eloquent words. When's the last time you heard the giant in the storybook say, "Fee-fi-fo-fum, I would like to politely eat someone"? Well, you haven't, and you won't. Usually, giants or monsters aren't very eloquent about what they say or do. Like the Incredible Hulk, they smash and knock anything down that gets in their way. And that's what Mark Henry does when he's not getting knocked out by the Big Show. So, having said that, let me say this. Why would you even think about giving Daniel Bryan a #1 contendership? Granted, when the WWE tested this little story out on the fans on Friday Night SmackDown by allowing Daniel Bryan to go out and pin Mark Henry after being knocked out by the Big Show, the fans erupted. This was WWE's way of seeing if the fans would respond to Daniel Bryan becoming the World Heavyweight Champion in a good way. Well, they did. And because this happened, now Daniel Bryan goes out later on to win the Fatal 4-Way match and become #1 contender for the steel cage match at next week's live edition of Friday Night SmackDown. Oh, I can't wait to see that. Mick Foley's hosting. So, having said all of this, let me say this. I will not buy Daniel Bryan as a World Heavyweight Champion, at least not yet. I still think he's got some growing up in the WWE to do. And Daniel Bryan, if you watch this show, hey, listen. All of these are only constructive criticisms coming from me. Everybody needs constructive criticism. I need constructive criticism. Daniel Bryan, you have the potential to be something phenomenal in World Wrestling Entertainment. I just don't think it's your time yet. That time will come, and when it does, Daniel, you will be golden. You'll be better than John Cena. Well, then anybody can be better than John Cena. But Daniel, trust me, your time will come. I just don't think this is it. This has been WrestleRant HD. Fans, I want to thank you for joining me here, as you do each and every week, right here at YouTube.com. And I hope you join me here next week at YouTube.com and or ClickWrestle.com or whatever video format this show happens to be on that you choose to watch it on. For now, I'm Angelo Demetris, host of WrestleRant HD, saying good. Bye, everybody.